Yeah, that's the process. Thank you so much for agreeing to record this interview with us. We are right after the presentation on our semester subject. Want to kick off with a question about your background, if possible. Could you please tell a few words about yourself?
Okay, my background is I started as a lecturer from the computer science department. I graduated from the Polish-Japanese Academy of Information Technology, and I've started on the position of the teacher of multimedia class. And I was teaching multimedia for some years, but fortunately in 2005, as far as I remember, new media art department started. And I figured it out that most of the classes which are there on the new media art department are something like my own interests. So I decided to be more with artists, not with the IT people, but still I'm teaching on the IT part the human-computer interaction subject, the only one which I'm teaching.
So you're both on new media arts? And
yeah, I'm both on the both sides. So generally it started as a computer science lecturer, but right now I can call myself rather a lecturer for artists. I can tell, and that's the story.
Would you say that new media arts department changed a lot since the moment it was created?
And this is because of the technology change. And I can tell that something brilliant happened, because when I started teaching artists, you know, it was very hard to find easy to use tools. They were very technically oriented. So what we were doing was like HTML coding, mostly working with Flash, which was at the beginning by Macromedia, then it was bought by Adobe. But you know, it was something like struggling with technology first, and then this creative process was next one. And right now, I think since 2010, I think so, it started to change a lot, and we've got so many great tools for artists. And I love it because you know, they are easy to use, and the final results, they can be much better than before. And people who are not technically oriented, they can manage to fulfill their creativeness and just this approach. They want to design something. The same happened today during this presentation of interactive storytelling movies. We were using very simple tool for integrating the things together, and because of that, final projects were made on time, and they were working like real projects, not prototypes, but real projects which are available everywhere on the internet. So that's very cool.
So you would say that in general artists have much more possibilities with how to use computer tools to how to make their art projects more tech-oriented and just interactive in general?
They have right now a free will. If they want to just touch a surface and just make something you know, not so technically oriented, they can use tools for that and have very good results. But if they want to go deeper and they want to make something more technically you know, oriented, it's also an option for them, because we've got so big variety of tools right now, and this is changed through the last years for sure.
And what do you consider important when you're designing a course for students? Because you have such a background with experiences and how the tools are evolving, what has been important for you?
Yes, I can tell you that I'm using something which I call wow effect. I mean that when I see some technology which makes me very interested, and I'm having this wow, I want to learn how it's working. I know that it could be a part of the course, and it, you know, it started with many subjects this way. So, for example, when I working with interactive storytelling, and I just found this Eco Studio solution, that it's so simple to use and it's good for integrating the stories together and just tell an interactive story, and it's so easy to use. I found this attractive just to make it a part of the course. The same happened with Voxel design, with models, with voxels. When I found the Magic of Voxel application, and I started to play with it just for the few hours, and I found the results of this are quite good. I thought, okay, I don't have to spend so much time on it to have very nice effects. And I think this is very important idea for building courses, because students sometimes they are not so eager to spend so much time on learning something. They want to have the results immediately, and it's very hard to get. And it's also because students have a lot of classes and a lot of different subjects, so sometimes they simply cannot allow to dive too deep into something, right? So that's which I think is a kind of the solution of that.
I would also say that it's due to how fast-paced life is.
Exactly.
And it's going faster and faster, so there is a way to adapt to it. Now, I want to know, because you mentioned that wow effect that you have when you're designing a course. A few words about the courses that you teach currently?
Yeah, of course. I think I've got 4 main areas. And I will start probably with the UX, UI design, because I'm also teaching this on the IT courses and on the new media art courses. And mostly it's about designing, the mobile apps, prototypes. But what is important in the course is to show students that there is a user-centered design, approach, that you have to learn from the basics how you want to help with your design people. So you have to understand very good your future users. So you have to make research and then make prototypes and iteration and so on, and test it, and engage, this usability testing. And this is the first course. I'm also working on this professionally outside our academy for different companies. So this is this subject is very important for me, because it's like a connection between the professionals and students, and also the IT people and art people, because they will meet together. I mean, the programmer will meet with designer and vice versa. So I've got this opportunity to start from the computer science as my first subject, and then go to artist subjects. And I like it very much because I can see these differences, how people from these 2 different areas, how they thinking about the whole process. So this is the first course. I mean, that human-computer interaction course. You can call it UX, UI, something like that.
Fair enough, yeah.
The second, it's interactive storytelling. And I think I have a little bit story behind it, because I love to play games in the 90s, previous century, and I was so impressed by the full motion video games, FMV games, like Phantasmagoria, Seven Guests, and many other like that. And it was this first wow effect, I think, when I was a teenager, and I've played Phantasmagoria, and I thought, wow, how it's possible to have video on the full screen with video game experience. At the time, it was something completely new, because it was the time when the CD-ROMs were introduced, and big capacity on the discs and so on. So later, when I studied, I was also working with some people on DVD authoring. It was my job. I was responsible for authoring DVDs and Blu-rays, so something which you can watch on the TV set. And I think this was the point of starting this class for interactive storytelling. I just managed, I think, to combine things from my past, my love to this FMV video games, and my technical engagement during my work at the time when I was studying. And first we were making this on DVDs, then Blu-rays, and right now we're making this completely digital. And so we're making this with Eco Studio. But I'm so happy to see right now that there are so many games like that on Steam platform, for example, on Switch even. Even Netflix presents a lot of interactive games or
people
movies.
Love to engage with what they
and
watch,
like Bandersnatch, for example, right? And it was quite something for me to see that on this one of the biggest streaming platform, we've got this kind of interaction. And it was great fun for me because, I was interested in that for years. And suddenly I observed, it's coming back. I mean, that it's like in the 90s I was playing the CD-ROM games and watching these movies with interaction inside. And right now I can see that it's on the main platforms. So if I want to summarize it, in case of UX, UI, we were making mobile apps prototypes with this whole process. In case of interactive storytelling, students they deliver simply the interactive stories based on their own scenarios. They can they have no limits in the subjects or techniques. So I can see animations, 3D animations, video recordings. The most important part is it's working like choose your own adventure style. So you can just make different paths. You can finish this experience differently each time, and of course it's something I think very engaging for the audience because they can start the story one more time with different ending, with many branches inside, and I love to see even after this presentation which we had today, this very different approaches to this design, because we've seen cartoons, we've seen videos with interaction. So the final project is an interactive video, right? The third project, the third subject, about which I want to tell is connection with immersive technology. I'm talking about augmented reality and virtual reality. So in case of augmented reality, it's about showing students how they can easily overlay digital elements on the real video coming from the camera, from the smartphone, for example, and how can they combine real reality around us with virtual digital elements on top of it, so in the real time. So this is the main idea behind augmented reality, how they can use it in their projects. Many times we're making workshops connected with that students designing posters which are interactive. You can scan it with the special application, and then you can see this second meaning of that because it's overlaid on top of that. So this is augmented reality. And virtual reality, it's more connected with, in my case, it's more connected with prototyping 360 worlds. So you can start with taking 360 photo and make a virtual tour.
With or just special headset,
and use a headset to watch it, or you can paint on that. And I think last year we started because of pandemic, and we cannot use cameras then because the academies were closed. So we decided to make this totally created from scratch by students, like they drawing this 360 space on the special template. And what is brilliant that I think this is for the first time for the students possibility of designing something which is immersive in the way that you dive into the world and just look around and put headset on your head and just watch it also on the computer monitor screen. But this is a little bit like interactive storytelling, but we are rather oriented on the space of being inside. So immersive, in my case, means showing easy tools for augmented reality, artistic design, and virtual reality for showing these prototypes of designing these spaces. And the last one is voxel design. So and this is application for making something like Minecraft style approach, but it's like pixel art but for 3D. So we've got voxel, the smallest possible element of the scene, and this is a very short course, but I found this attractive for students because it's good for creating assets for popular retro games, for example. And I think in Magical Voxel we've got this situation that you don't have to spend so much time and you can have very nice effect at the end. So I love to show applications which are not so hard to use and to learn, but can deliver very interesting results. And I think this is the main idea about having this wow effect, or just having this a possibility of what I want to select for the subject.
I think AR and VR are the topics that are developing very rapidly right now, and
yes.
projects that you get from the subjects that are on the topic of AR and VR are the most, the ones that go furthest? For example, from the workshops that we had in October and November, from December, sorry, they're now exhibited. Should be exhibited in the UK. So
yeah, that's very nice to hear it and just to have this possibility. You know, what I love is I love to show young people that technology is not so hard to learn. If you have a good attitude and patience, of course, and you love the subject, it's so nice, you know, to pass to just teach young people that they can use it in the ways that it will be important for them, not only during the studies but later at work when they start working. I hope that they can find something from the classes I'm running also on the daily work, you know, subjects. So that's very important to me, just to show them that they can be much better with even simple applications. So of course it's very good to be specialist, you know, to dive deeper into each area. But as you mentioned, right now there are so many possibilities, you know, that it's good to touch everything and just decide which one you love and which one maybe it's not the best option for you.
I feel like without versatility, artists are very much more destined to not succeed, because everything is changing rapidly, and plus being able to adapt to new technologies is a very important skill.
That's true. So I hope it's helpful somehow, just to show that you've got very different applications. You don't have to know everything, but just try to touch some of them and see, is it your job? Is it something which you love, like, or maybe hate? So you are sure that no, it's not your best subject to learn, for example. But it's also good to know it just by practice, because sometimes if you have to learn a very complicated application and spend, you know, months on that, and the results are still not good, you can be you can be a little bit, you know, depressed with that. And I think if you start with just small steps and see that, oh, it's not so hard to create interactive poster. And I love to see when, for example, talking about the workshops, I love to see that when I'm having this plein air with students from the first year, and on the plein air, it's just for 5 days. You know, we're starting at Monday and finishing with the exhibition at Friday. I love to observe that when I'm showing to students the works, how this AR works. I mean that the technology on the previous workshops, for example, most of them are a little bit terrified. I mean that we're not going to make it because it's too hard. And I love to observe that just for this few days, they learn it, and at the last day of exhibition, they are mostly, I think, proud that they were able to complete it on the same level or even better than they saw on the first day. So I love to observe the fascination from the starting point that no, I cannot make it, it's impossible, it's too hard, to the last emotion that, oh my God, I did it, it's working, I'm so proud of myself. That, and sometimes I see that students are really happy about that. They want to share it on the social media, they're showing their works to friends, to the family. So this is the best moment of my life when I see that somebody is so happy to learn something new from my subjects. And sometimes it's changing, you know, the way how this student is going to work on the next subject. So maybe even changing direction where he or she wants to go for applying for a job. And this is something wonderful to me to see that it was a kind of just idea which makes things really happened, finished projects, you know, that it was not just like talking about it, but finishing, really working and happy about this person simply made it. So this is something which is really, really important for me in this area of satisfaction from teaching people.
So we left off and we were talking about games, and with that I want to ask you, what do you think is the significance of games in education for younger children or for teenagers?
You know, I started playing games in the 90s as a kid and later as a teenager, and I have this feeling that playing games, it caused that I started to go into design, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now because of playing games, because I was observing everything, you know, the mechanics, the visual design, level design, assets. First, the games were very, you know, simple, like arcade games from the 80s and 90s, like pixel art right now. So later we've got these 3D games, and we've got these full motion video games, and you've got plenty of possibilities right now. And I want to tell by this that I'm pretty sure that games for many years were not considered as art. And right now,
absolutely,
for
yes,
me, it's just a wonderful piece of art, because you know, you've got everything there. You've got the sound design, level design, concept, characters, concept of the words created. So I want to say that the same like in my case, I think that games may have very good influence on young people, on kids, on students. Of course, if they are playing games dedicated for their age, okay?
Fair
so
enough,
that's
yeah.
and just spend also some time on the ear, not only in front of the smartphone or computer.
To be fair, the conversation about games that are destroying children's minds is so done. This conversation is so not true. I don't know how to say.
I think, you know, it depends how much time kids just spend in front of the monitor screen, right? Of course, if they're doing this whole day long without anything else, it's simply wrong, and we cannot allow for that. But when we're talking about the influence, how good computer games may influence the way of thinking, the way of designing, I think it's just good. And I feel that I'm not the only one who decided to go into the computer science and then into design because of the games, because it's all started then when we were kids. And right now I can tell that I'm doing exactly what I'd love to do, because I'm just teaching things which interest me so much that I would play these games you are creating and you making like a real audience, like a real user. So it's so nice to see that together I'm able to create things with students which are so engaging and interesting. And I hope that students, you know, they think similar way.
I mean, totally. I think the significance of games in general in the artistic and any kind of education is growing, and it's awesome. Because I'm saying from a perspective person who loves games.
It's so good. They have, you know, so many levels, because you can interest in games because of the programming. You know, you can go for IT studies for that. That's why I started my IT studies, because of games. To be honest. Then I you know, figure out that okay, you can also go into design. So the next level is design, and design of everything: environments, characters, concepts, you know, mechanics, just scenarios and so on. So it's very creative process to make a game. And you know, games, they are very emotional. You know, if you're playing modern games with long story, I think it's like watching a good movie or read a good book, but with technology inside. So these levels, like from programmer to designer, and in many in between, because you've got concept designer of different parts of the game, characters, levels, and so on. I'm repeating that, but that's important, that you can choose which one level is most interesting for you.
I actually love the description about the book. And well, I have to ask a question, because we were talking about the technologies that are advancing, etc. Where do you stand on AI, AI art?
That's very interesting question, because probably because my background is computer science, and I'm from the background, I'm IT person, so I'm very happy to see what is happening with AI. But I can really honestly understand that for many people it could be something very frightening, because AI can do right now everything. When we think about writing an essay, or I don't know, Midjourney, for example, for creating images, but still, I think this is just the newest tool. I mean that Photoshop, I think, didn't destroy the photography. Like it's just a tool for making these photos better. The same stuff may happen with AI. If you use it for some purposes which are important in your work, you can have very nice effects with that. And of course, well, it may happen that it will take some part of the works from the market, but at the same time, I'm rather thinking about it that this is just a new tool with just infinite possibilities which I can incorporate in my way of working. So instead of just making a lot of photos, I can try to deliver some concepts of the space by asking AI for showing me how I can make a photo session, and then I can repeat this, so I can start with that. The same with concept design. I'm just trying to create a lot of different concepts, and I choose this one which is closest to me, and I can incorporate this work of AI into my own work. Yeah. So it's like a kind of the engine which starts and helps me to engage more my creativity, and then I can use it in some form.
It's how we were using Midjourney to experiment with our prototypes of our games with this subject. Yeah.
So that's true. So I'm on the side of AI, but of course, as I said, something which is new and something which people cannot easily understand, it may be scary. And that's what is happening right now, in my opinion.
It will definitely take a while for people to adjust
just to get accustomed to that it's our on daily basis, a kind of situation that you're using that for helping you, not for destroying something you're working on.
It will definitely find its place in everybody's jobs.
And if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. Okay,
totally.
So that's something like you've got a free will. And we will see altogether. It's so new right now, and I think it just exploded last summer with Midjourney, and I can see this everywhere. But still, this for me, it's just a new tool which I can use, and I think very positively about it, because I can have more in less time, and I think it's not killing the real art, because you cannot make everything with it. It's like something like a kind of energy which may be given to your projects or which may inspire you, but I think it will not replace the real creative minds, and they will always be, the best ones without AI also. But AI may help you in many tedious work, for example, in concepts, making concepts, in prototyping something, just to make your creativity just bigger and even be more happy about it. Because sometimes I observe students, they are struggling with no new ideas for building something, or no references, they cannot find anything interesting for them. And I can, tell them that try to do something with AI and see where it goes. Maybe it will give you a new way for starting something new, and that will engage you more in the creative process. This is how I'm thinking about it.
Fair enough. I actually occasionally totally try it out sometimes for my work purposes, so it has a future, and I'm really curious to see where it's going to go. We'll see this in the future years for sure, what is going to happen with that. Thank you very much for doing this with us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.